All right, friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things tactical and all things enlightenment, and as we continue to cover a mix of Bannerlord, history, philosophy, and other things on the channel. Now, our main focus, of course, is Bannerlord, and today we're going to continue to focus on the changes to the Sturgians with the 1.32 beta. This beta is live only of the last few days. You can go onto Steam, opt in for the beta, and download it. Now, today we're going to cover essentially archer situations. We're going to have a mix of different battles here. The first one will start off where we're defensive against an army of Battanians with the legendary Heya champion, and I'm going to show you how to destroy them in the open field. We're outnumbered by 15%. Units have the same quality on both sides. Eventually, we will cover offensive situations, which is a nightmare. But this first one, we will let the sergeant take control of a battle where we are defending against the Battanians. For newer players, I want to mention this point right here. It is way, way harder to attack an opponent when they have a lot of archers than it is to defend. The other point I should make here is if you're outnumbered like this, you should be the one getting attacked on the campaign map, which means that you will be defensive. In other words, the enemy initiates combat on the campaign map. That means they must come to you on the map. If you've ever wondered why the enemy can hide up on the ridge like this, if you're the defender, the enemy has to come to you. Now, I don't anticipate pretty results here. We'll speed through this using the fast forward function, but of course we already know what's going to happen here. We're outnumbered by 15%, and the Heya champs are working our archers. Now, we just saw a little glimpse of something that is beneficial for the Sturgians. We'll talk about it more once we slow this down and can take control ourselves. But it was all those throwing weapons that came raining down to the enemy, particularly from the Sturgian cavalry. They're mobile and they throw very deadly throwing weapons. Even the tier 4 Baryag veteran now has throwing weapons. Now, we got demolished here, and the Heya champs had 63 kills, and we only killed 2 of them. That's our first mission, destroy the archers, and we will talk about some of the functions and dynamics of ranged battles. With thousands of hours of Bannerlord in my bag at this stage, I understand the combat system to a very deep level. We'll talk about archers, how to position them, etc. And we're going to split our cavalry into 2 different wings. We have a defensive wing and an offensive wing. These guys here with throwing weapons are our offense. Now, we want elevation, number 1, with our archers. You shoot for more damage and they have more range, right? So anytime you're defensive, this is your advantage. You get to sit up on the ridge and be that annoying bastard kingdom playing defense. The enemy must come to us, and that's a huge advantage for 2 different reasons. First, our archers already have their feet planted and can shoot. Second, we get elevation, meaning they can shoot from a higher point. If we had to come to them, we might be in the valley shooting uphill, and we will talk about that in a second. Now, our cav here, note this. I'm saying hold fire. And you say hold fire with cavalry. Yes, they have javelins. We want them to hold fire. That's a very important thing. I will show you when we're going to open fire. We are going to flank the enemy with that cavalry, and they will then open fire. Now, our archers are in a nice big spread formation. That's the best formation for archers, bar none. The next thing you want to do is you want to put your infantry and your defensive cavalry out in front. You don't want your infantry in a big line like this. I'll show you in a second. I'll show you why. And it's nice to have about a 2 or 3 deep shield wall of cavalry. That way they protect from enemy cav charges as well. Now, the main job at the beginning here for the infantry and cavalry, the defensive cavalry division, is to absorb arrows. Since they're out in front, the AI will shoot them more. Now, you see these guys right here, these line breakers, they're going to get killed. You don't want to have a big, long shield wall line like that. You want it to be tight. So how you do that is just drag a shorter distance, and your shield wall of infantry will be about 5 or 6 deep, meaning that those guys have protection from the shields in the front. Now, the Sturgians, all, tier 3 and above, all have 2 bags of arrows. Another advantage here, we don't have to maintain any kind of hold fire. And these guys here, the other thing you want to do is have them stop, right? You see how I said stop, which is F1, F6. That way they don't move when they suffer casualties. If you don't do that, you will see the guys try to shuffle into various positions as they try to maintain that formation. Tell them to stop and you will receive 30%. I'm not kidding, 30% better kill ratio from your archers. Now look at our shield guys in the front, absorbing most of the arrows. Meanwhile, our archers are raining arrows down on the enemy. Now, the AI is not particularly good about spreading their archers. In fact, they're in line formation down there. Wish I could nudge these guys forward here. They're not quite close enough. The Sturgians don't have great bows, so they don't have extra long range. Now, our shield wall is absorbing 80% of the arrows. It's just being flayed. Meanwhile, our archers are just raining arrows. I'm going to move these guys forward here because I want to show you another trick. If you're in a very long ranged battle like this, what you can actually do is conserve ammo or get ammo from the enemy, right? They're shooting arrows at us. Our units are more than capable of coming up and picking up these arrows. Now, so far, so good, right? 40 kills and 2 deaths. Our archers in an elevated position, doing pretty well. And most importantly, these cav lines and infantry lines towards the front are absorbing a lot of the attention. A lot of the attention is coming right here. And you may lose some of those guys, but they're much stronger than archers. Now, here's the other way to gather up ammo. The enemy's shooting at the ground. You simply move up your troops, then move up your archers to where the infantry was standing, being shot at, and you will see your guys go down and pick up all those arrows. In very long battles, this can be the difference between winning or losing. See them doing little air squats there as archers are programmed to gather arrows from about 3 yards away. They won't go 10 yards to pick up an arrow, but if they're right in front of them, these guys are happy to pick up extra ammo. The death spam continues to flush our way, and the AI is getting antsy here. They're being butchered, so they're charging with cavalry. A lot of guys want to countercharge. Just stand here. This is the one bit of movement for this battle. We are going to flank with this 4th Division, and remember I told you they're on hold fire. I don't want them throwing javelins until they're close to the enemy infantry and archers. That's who we're concerned about killing. Our archers will kill their cavalry. Now that we're close, loose arrows, which is F4, and look at the barrage of throwing axes and javelins, point blank to their infantry, almost point blank to their archers. In fact, at this stage, it's perfectly fine to have them charge because they will circle the enemy, throwing javelins in them, disrupting their archers, and causing huge casualties. Now, our cav division's doing just fine. They're playing defense. These guys are holding up their shield, even though they're being surrounded. Who's killing? The archers, right? Now, our infantry, we're going to move these guys up here eventually, but we're being patient, right? Right now, the battle's going our way. When the battle's going your way, be patient. The enemy infantry's coming up here, so we're going to move our cavalry by telling them to charge. If you leave them there up to the point where the infantry's beating on them, they will get destroyed. Now, AI's trying to kill me here. I'm moving up our shield wall right next to the archers until they're close. See how close we are now, holding up our shields? Now you charge. So the archers are in the back protected. Our Jav Cav is circling. Our infantry bores in here while the other cavalry division plays defense. And this battle is over. We've got a huge line of savage infantry. Pretty healthy because they held up their shields for the first 3 minutes of this battle. Meanwhile, our archers are up here. They're probably getting low on ammo, right? So you can have them charge as well. Anybody who's out of ammo will then come up with their little pitiful axe. And this battle is not just a victory for us, a battle where the AI got flat out destroyed. We mangled the Battanians here, and you should be able to also. In defensive battles, you have a huge edge in Bannerlord, and that is pretty well presented here. Even the Fiend champs didn't even get a 1-to-1 kill ratio against the structure we put up here. All right, you want to see offensive situations. Much harder. We may not even be able to win these, but I'll show you tactics that'll help you win, especially if you're not so badly outnumbered. Okay, so let's take the same setup here and we will go offensive. I don't think this is practical, and I'll explain in a second. We'll switch this to attacker, and we will have the sergeant lead the first charge here. I would recommend more archers and more cavalry for situations like this. We've covered it before with the Sturgians. The Sturgian infantry is some of the worst in the game. That just remains a thing even after the 1.32 update. The Sturgian units even got a little bit of a boost, and they're still pretty weak. All right, our plan is to get in range and get showered by arrows. I think that's what it said. We're hopefully going to shower the enemy with arrows here. But on the way to suiciding, I want to explain something. This scenario should not occur to you in your campaign. And what I mean by that is you should never be outnumbered and charging uphill against the enemy. That is quite literally the proverbial uphill battle. As we get killed here in 2 seconds by Fiend champs, our army's also going to get immolated too. That's just a certainty. We already saw that they couldn't even defend well against Fiend champs. The reason this should not happen is that in your campaign, the larger force should be engaging you. And let me explain here as our force gets immolated. Actually, that is as bad as it gets. I don't think I've ever seen an immolation like that in the custom battle menu. We literally got a 10-to-1, a 12-to-1 kill ratio here by the enemy if you're facing an army that's much larger than you on the campaign map, let them attack you. That way they have to come to you. The only way that would ever happen, this scenario would ever happen, is say they were sieging and you attacked them. Well, if you're badly outnumbered against the Battanians, don't attack. Let them attack you. If you attack the enemy in a situation where you're badly outnumbered, you're just asking for it. And as you saw, it was as bad as it gets. It's so bad, in fact, I want to see if we can't replicate that. We charge in here and holy shit. Oh, shit. Well, I'm glad I captured this. This is what happens to you when you charge the Battanian Fiend Champs. You get obliterated. And again, it doesn't get much worse than that. Maybe not quite as bad as the previous example. Only a 6-to-1 kill ratio here as we get completely smashed to pieces. All right, let's see if there's some way we can win here. I've lowered it down so that we have an equal number of troops. I still don't recommend this, right? If the Battanians are around, you want them to attack you. Otherwise, you're in trouble. If you're attacking a force of Battanians that is larger than you, you're going to get killed unless you're an expert tactician or you have much higher quality troops. Okay, let's come up with some tactics that'll probably give us a chance to win here. What we're going to do is a flanking attack with some of our best units. The 3rd Division is clicked again, javelins. That way those cavalry have the best throwing weapons. The 1st, 2nd, and 4th will hold the center of our divisions, and the 3rd and the 5th we're going to try to flank the enemy. I still don't know if this will work, but at least there's some tactical opportunities for us. Now the first thing we have to do is present a really strong defensive front as we move up, right? This is going to take 3, 4, 5 minutes, so those of you who are impatient, I guess you're just going to have to learn some other way. But we need to methodically approach these guys, because if we rush in too quickly, they will counterattack with cavalry while they're pounding you with javelins, while they're shooting you with Battanian Fiend Champs, and you will be crying in your beer. We've got to come in very slowly here, methodically, and observe what they're doing. The most dangerous thing is to get caught between a spray of their javelins from their cavalry at the same time as being shot while you're trying to move up. You'll lose a ton of troops. We're right near the edge of the map here, that little no sign. That's your indicative sign that we're too close to the edge of the map. And this happens a lot, right? The AI will hide at the edge of the map, infuriating players out there. Well, it's part of the game. You're allowed to do this as well. And this is, frankly, the AI being programmed to use the terrain to the best of its ability. Maybe you don't like it, maybe you call it cheese. Well, last time I looked, cheese was legal. You can buy it in the store. So you may not like it, but it is what it is. Now this is what I'm talking about, right? All of these javelins come flying in here. I'm nervous. I'm getting pounded with javelins. 3, 4, 5 hitting my shield. I already look like a piñata, and we haven't even gotten close to the enemy. The Battanians are just nasty in this kind of a situation. I still feel that the Battanians have the best troops in the game after this 1.32 patch. I think the Sturgians have some of the worst, and the Battanians have some of the best. So you can tell we got a conundrum here in this situation. This is not a place I relish being, but a lot of guys like playing the Sturgians and they want help. This is hopefully going to at least give them some ideas. Now again, methodically moving up, the 1st and the 2nd are basically married. The Cav Division and our Infantry Division. It's our only Infantry Division as we get absolutely sprayed. It's kind of astonishing how many arrows are hitting us. I already look like a piñata. Okay. Now what we've got to do here is seek for angles on the enemy while using these defensive units. We're sort of jockeying back and forth with their cavalry. The losses haven't been too severe, and this is what I'm looking for, a little bit of a blind spot to park our cavalry. We will use them eventually, right? Those cav guys will attack the enemy, but right now this is what I want, right? I want our archers finding a little notch, finding a little open spot to shoot. Those guys have some decent enfilade fire. And our cavalry and infantry is doing a pretty decent job absorbing arrows, but man, is it bad. I'm already down to half health, and it's probably going to get worse. Spoke too soon. I just got smoked. And if I get killed here, it's obviously we're not going to be able to continue. Our troops will freak out. Yeah, we're probably going to lose. All right. Well, the 4th Division here at least has a nice knoll as well. What you're looking for is angles. What you're looking for is anywhere where they could shoot, where the enemy's shooting at your cavalry and infantry first. And just as I said that, the death spam started to turn. In fact, the enemy's starting to get antsy. I think the AI is trying to figure out some angles on us. Well, our archers now have their feet planted, so advantage us, right? Now it's time to start moving this 3rd Division. We want to basically wait until the enemy leaves a little gap between the back of the map and where they are. I think it's pretty close to happening, right? The enemy's moving up because they have more infantry than us, right? They basically have advantages in multiple areas. All right, let's push this 4th division in, or 3rd division in. Those guys will do a decent job throwing javelins, and let's use a square here, right? We're outnumbered infantry on infantry, excuse me. Anytime you're outnumbered infantry on infantry, don't charge. Form a square. We've got more archers, they've got more infantry, right? If you charge with your infantry, they get killed. If you play defense with your square, your archers can mow down their infantry attacking your square. It's a simple rule of thumb. If you have more infantry, you charge. If you have less, you form a shield. It's Sun Tzu, right? When you're outnumbered, avoid the enemy, right? When you're disadvantaged, avoid the enemy. Now here, I'm going to send our cavalry in. This Judzinnik line that's all beat to pieces. While we kill the rest of their troops here, I'm hoping that little line can sort of disrupt their archers enough for the rest of our troops to make some work. I also moved the square left and right, and look at what that's doing. That's leaving the enemy infantry chasing that square completely exposed to our archer fire. Our archers have a good angle. Both of our archer divisions are together. That 2nd division, it looks like it's kind of, maligned the enemy archers back there. I can see them sort of swinging their weapons at those Drudziniks. They're in there defending. And it's a close battle here. They're running us over and shit with their cavalry, but our archers have a really good angle. Our shield is holding out. Now it's time to charge with it, right, and try to finish the deal. Our cavalry, there's still a handful of them in there, charging and getting killed, shot off their horses, something fierce. But the infantry's charging. That guy just got killed. Shield goes rolling. And anytime you're charging Thean champs, I always get the same feeling they get in the movie, in the documentary about Chernobyl, where they look into the core. That's what it feels like to me, charging Thean champs. You're looking into this all-powerful, dangerous thing, and if you look too long, you get scorched. All right, we finished the deal here with a couple cavalry spears. And there you go, right? Now it's even numbers. We weren't outnumbered, but you shouldn't be. If you're outnumbered, again, one last time, if you're outnumbered by Thean champs, you should not be attacking uphill. You're just going to lose that battle 9 out of 10 times, maybe 99 out of 100 times. And a pretty resounding success here, considering the circumstances, considering we're attacking a defensive Battanian unit. They still got a 2-to-1 ratio with their Thean champs. They still did major damage, but victory is on our side here, right? No quarter for the Craven. All right, let's end this episode with a nice little cheat code. Guys out there like cheat codes, and this is a legal cheat code. I'm going to teach you how to destroy armies like this in the open field, or more accurately, up the mountainside. Right now, not every map has this kind of a terrain to it. There's about a dozen, maybe 24 maps in the game, so it's about 30 or 40% of the maps have this kind of terrain where you can abuse the enemy. So now we're outnumbered by 15%, and we'll do a very heavy archer versus archer battle. In the open field, without tactics, you cannot win this, right? The Thean champs, tier 6 against your tier 5 archer, they're going to work you, but we're not going to fight in the open field, right? We're going to sit at the top of the mountain and take advantage of it. Now you're looking for elevation. You're looking especially for elevation with protection, like some cliff walls and stuff like that. And this landscape is good for that. Again, there's all kinds of landscapes that look like this. Bogbeth Arch, you could do something very similar. There's massive advantages to elevation. The main ones, though, are damage, because literally, like throwing a rock from the top of a tall building, you can throw it way further than if you're on the ground. It also does more damage because it's speeding up as it goes down. Bannerlord has a pretty decent momentum system, so when you shoot arrows downhill, they do even more damage, much more damage than the enemy shooting uphill. The range is enormously different. I'll just give you an idea. It's about half for the enemy up this height, and ours is about 150% increased, right? So if normally these archers shoot at about 160, 180 range, they can shoot probably 250 with this kind of steep elevation. Now, we're not just going to use elevation, of course. We're going to use every advantage we can come up with, and one of them is going to be defensive lines out in front. This is a little bit of an exploit. The bottom line is the AI is very eager to shoot anything, even if they're holding up their shield. So what we're going to do is we're going to serve it up a nice heaping helping here of Sturgian shields for it to shoot at, while our archers rain down overhead. This is not just a battle we can win. We can probably blow the enemy out, which is why I call it a cheat code. On some level, it's the AI doesn't really understand that it needs to close. And what I mean by that, if I was attacking this, and that would be hell, but if I was attacking this, I would run my fiends until they were almost touching our infantry and cav lines at the bottom. That is the only way that they would possibly do enough damage to defeat this formation. Now, we're outnumbered. We're outnumbered here by about 15%, I think almost 20%. And I don't think it's going to matter at all. A lot of their archers won't be able to shoot at all, quite frankly. Or they'll be tucked in so tightly that they're just going to get skewered because they're not as spread. Now, other things we're doing here. Notice our shield wall is a very thin shield wall, very from side to side. It's a thick, deep. That way those weaker guys are behind the strong guys. Also, our archers, I told them to stop. That's a point I want to keep emphasizing. If your archers are in a spread like this and you don't tell them stop, I mentioned it before, they will scurry to try to maintain the same formation. You guys can try it in your own game and observe. The practice menu here, the custom battle menu, is absolutely one of the best ways to understand the mechanics in Bannerlord. And I've done extensive tests with this, right? In fact, I had this idea to show you guys like compacted, 5 hours of testing I did with archers. I tested all kinds of archer scenarios. I tested all kinds of Sturgian battles, in fact. I tested Sturgian battles where the AI was in charge with equal troops just to see how they did. I can talk about that a little bit here. Their cavalry came out really well when the AI was in charge. But this is a big one. I've seen it upwards of 30% over the course of 10 tests. So it's not an aberration. And look at they're kind of packing their archers close together behind infantry. That won't work. Right? No matter what they do here, it won't work. The only thing that maybe would work if a player is if they came hard from the flank or higher up. Well, of course, we would just adjust, go even higher. And it would resemble that 1980s Atari game Joust, where everybody tried to get as high as they could, and the enemy's being exterminated, right? These are weak Sturgian archers, tier 3, 4, 5, although they did get a boost with the 1.3 patch. Sturgian archers aren't quite as bad as they used to be. We're going against the best archers in the game here. There's no cheats, there's no codes, I wouldn't do that to you fellas, right? You guys could do this in your own custom battle. Range is king, right? Just like Anakin should have learned in Star Wars. We got the high ground, Anakin. Don't try it, right? Our arrows are doing more damage. Of course, the enemy's not in a great formation. They're kind of in a line formation down there, which means a lot of the arrows that miss their target hit the guy right next to him, right? And there's all you need to see. We have a 50-to-1 kill ratio here, outnumbered against Fiend Champs. What more do I need to say? Cheat code? Exploit? I don't know. You guys can choose what it is, but if you got to have victory in your game, and you got a campaign map like this, there you go. I think the enemy's routing. They don't have enough troops to be reforming. They're just running sideways. And you can see from the numbers, they can't win, right? We now outnumber them significantly. So basically blew them off the field. Again, if you want to call it a cheat code, so be it. You don't have to use it. All right, friends. I appreciate you watching to this stage. Lots and lots more tips for Bannerlord coming. We'll give you these kind of tips as well. And my job is done here, right? I can drop my sword, spear, and shield. I can kick my horse and run off into the sunset. And hopefully you guys go out there and kick ass in Bannerlord. If you want to see more, now is your time to subscribe. Please hit that like button on the way out. I really appreciate that. And I will see you, friends, next time.